Let's jump right in. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're popping the hood on this sputtering, steam-leaking psychological engine of a grassroots Sunday League team to figure out exactly why they just keep breaking down. It's a really fascinating case study on the mental foundations of team performance. So, we're looking at a team called the Clockwork Wanderers FC. And on paper, man, they've got pristine technical gears, they're gifted, they're incredibly physically fit, and realistically, they should be cruising at the top of their league table. But instead, they're actually fighting relegation. So how does that happen? Well, it turns out they have this disastrous habit of just exploding under pressure. For them, attitude doesn't dictate performance. Performance completely dictates their attitude. It really boils down to this. Their confidence is entirely conditional. Think about it like this. If they score a goal in the first 10 minutes, they run like a well-oiled machine, absolutely invincible. But if they concede a goal in those same first 10 minutes, the belief shatters. The entire chassis literally falls apart and they lose all their structure. It's a classic case of conditional confidence, completely dependent on external circumstances. Okay, so here is our blueprint for today. 1. Diagnosing the breakdown. 2. Fix number 1, process goals. 3. Fix number 2, the reset. And 4. Fix number 3, core identity. Let's start with part 1, diagnosing the breakdown and identifying those core issues. According to the case study, their poor performance really stems from 4 foundational cracks. First is that conditional confidence we just talked about. Second, they've got this wild outcome obsession. They are so hyper-focused on the final score that if they start losing, which, by the way, is an outcome they can't fully control, their work rate just completely drops. Third, they genuinely have the emotional regulation of a toddler. And fourth, they have a total inability to stay in the present moment. Let's zoom in on that emotional regulation piece for a second. When a mistake happens, their internal pressure gauges literally burst. Sports psychologists call this emotional hijacking. It's that moment a player completely loses it and directs all their frustration outward. You know the type, screaming at the referee, complaining the grass is slightly too damp, or worst of all, just tearing into their own teammates. The emotional response completely overrides their logical brain. And because they can't stay focused on the present moment, the damage just keeps rolling. A single missed tackle in the 15th minute becomes this ghost in the machine that actively distracts a defender for the next half hour. They're so busy dwelling on what happened 15 minutes ago that they completely ignore the ball right in front of them. The whole team ends up essentially sleepwalking, haunted by past mistakes. All right, moving on to our psychological interventions. Fix number 1, process goals and addressing motivation. You know, there's a massive difference between blindly staring at your destination while you drive straight into a ditch versus actually looking at the road and steering the car. The manager has to banish these uncontrollable extrinsic outcome goals like, we need to win 3 points today, or just don't lose. Instead, you set process goals. These are completely controllable actions based 100% on effort and execution. So what does a great process goal look like? Well, it's tangible. For example, a manager might tell the team, win the ball back within 6 seconds of losing it, or make 5 overlapping runs down the wing per half. Think about it. If you go 1-0 down in the first 5 minutes, your dream of a perfect win might feel ruined, right? Your motivation could crash. But you can still absolutely achieve that goal of winning the ball back in 6 seconds. It keeps everyone engaged, highly motivated, and locked right into the present moment, totally regardless of the scoreboard. Next up, fix number 2, the reset. This is how we fix that emotional regulation. To do this, we need to install what's called a flush it routine. This is literally a mechanical sequence designed to process mistakes fast and lower that emotional arousal. It's just 3 steps. First, the player acknowledges the mistake, like, okay, I played a terrible pass. Second, perform a quick physical action to symbolize letting it go. Wipe your hands on your shorts, pull up your socks, adjust your shin pads, whatever works. And third, use a verbal cue. That verbal cue is just a short, instructional piece of self-talk. Tying a mental reset to a physical action and literally saying a phrase out loud like next ball or reset or eyes up, it does something really powerful to the human brain. It forces the gears to immediately re-engage with the reality of the game instead of grinding to a halt. It trains the players to stop dwelling and stops one bad pass from spiraling into a totally disastrous half. Which brings us to our final intervention, fix number 3, core identity and transforming team dynamics. To build real psychological safety and true self-awareness, you sometimes just have to change the environment. The case study suggests completely swapping out a physical training session for a team meeting. Take them out of that high-pressure pitch environment, maybe sit them down at the local pub or clubhouse, and literally strip the machine down to its absolute core. Once everyone is settled with the drink, the manager leads a quick workshop with 3 foundational questions. 1. Why do we actually give up our Sunday mornings to play for this specific team? 2. What are 3 words we want opposition teams to use when they describe us? You know, maybe it's resilient or relentless or united. And 3, what exact behaviors do we have to show on the pitch to prove those words are actually true? By forging these specific descriptive words, the manager fundamentally upgrades the team's operating system. Now he actually has an internal standard. So if the team starts falling apart and blaming each other during a tough match, the captain can pull them together and ask, hey, are we being united as a team right now? It creates a standard of behavior that is entirely internally driven, rather than dictated by the scoreline. We've seen how the Clockwork Wanderers can repair their mental foundations by focusing on process goals, utilizing physical resets, and defining who they really are. But I want to end by turning this over to you, because this case study really forces us to look in the mirror. Whether you're playing on a Sunday league pitch, managing a corporate project, or just living your day-to-day life, is your internal engine running on things you absolutely cannot control, or are you anchored by a true, unshakable core identity? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.